So, yeah, that Devin Booker kid's pretty damn good, isn't he? Welcome, you guys, to the Phoenix Suns Los Angeles Clippers Game 5 post-game show. Thank you for choosing to be here with myself. But I am joined by two great people who were kind enough to join me to help recap this game, to maybe even preview these Suns Nuggets and talk all things NBA. We are going to get started with somebody who is a friend of the channel, been on this channel many times. Super Mario Hoops, how you doing, man? Tell the people where to find you.
Doing good. You can find me at Supermariohoops24, SMH24 on basically any platform. I was laughing during the intro because I had your stream on too, and like it like played the intro music like twice, like it was overlapping. I thought you had it on like twice the speed. I was like, this sounds like insane, but no, I was just like stupid. But yeah, crazy game. I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure the other guest has a lot of thoughts.
Definitely. And speaking of the other guest, first time making his appearance on this channel, Top Notch. I would tell the people where to find you, man, but you're on multiple platforms. You have a huge following on TikTok as well. So introduce yourself, man. Tell the people where to find you. I did put your link tree in the description down below. So tell the people where to find you, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show. If y'all don't know, I am a diehard Russell Westbrook fan, so tonight is a hard night for me. But I'm also happy in the sense that he's showing people that he can still ball and still deserves to get paid out.
Absolutely.
But I do want to say, like you said, I am all over social media. If you're gonna find me, you can follow my TikTok because that's where I get real funny. I post a lot of funny videos over there. Just at Top Notch Hot Takes, and my YouTube will be Top Notch. So yeah, I'm ready for the stream today.
Awesome. Thank you guys both for being here. What are you gentlemen drinking tonight? I'm getting crazy on y'all. I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper, man.
Yeah. Listen, I'm drinking vanilla Sprite.
That any good? I haven't tried that yet.
I mean, I like it.
I always just got water.
Well, pop them if you got them, everybody. Cheers. Let's talk about this game. So the Phoenix Suns close out the series after the Clippers stole game one. And you know what, man? I tweeted this out right before we went live. Props to the Clippers, man. They stole game one, obviously, and they proved all series long in all 5 games that they are one of the deepest teams in the league, and they fought hard each and every single possession. So I just wanted to give them their flowers where they are due. I don't know what the Clippers offseason is going to look like. We can maybe talk about that later, but damn it, they are loaded. If not, this would have been a 4-0 sweep easy, and the Clippers kept it close. This was a really hard-fought, came down to the wire game. It seemed like it was going to be over after the third quarter. So what we're going to do here, everybody, is we're just going to get your guys' opening thoughts. And Top Notch, since you are a first-time guest on the channel, I'm going to put you on the spot first. Just give us your opening thoughts, your reaction, because you said you had a lot to say before we went live. So this is your time to talk, man. Go for it.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm not okay, let me just say this, right? The Phoenix Suns, one thing I'm concerned about them heading into the next round, right, is they're starter heavy, right? If you look at the series, right, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant are getting 40-plus minutes a game, right? And I know when you get into the playoffs, the rotations crack down and stuff like that. We understand that. My concern is, though, it's only round one, and it's only going to get tougher, right? You're playing the number 1 seed next against the Denver Nuggets, and if you get past that, it's only going to get tougher. So that's my only concern with the Phoenix Suns. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Chris Paul in the beginning of the series, the last 2 games he finally started to pick it up a little bit, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really watch the Phoenix Suns in the regular season. I watch them now. So Chris Paul lately isn't. I don't want to call him washed because maybe the Phoenix Suns fans are gonna come at me and stuff like that. But he ain't looking like Chris Paul that we all know. Back in the day, like he's missing a lot.
Say it how it is, Top Notch.
Okay, because I'm trying to be filtered. I'm trying to be filtered right now. That's all. But yeah, Chris Paul is struggling. DeAndre Ayton for some of the series is getting outplayed by Zubac and Mason Plumlee. He finally had a good game today. I honestly think the Phoenix Suns are very cringe. especially Devin Booker, every single time, you know, he goes on his own 8-0 run, the dude always has to keep his hands up in the air. I'm like, it's like, it's frustrating because I'm not a Clippers fan. I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, but I want the Clippers to win because of Russell's on the team. And I'm just like, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George plays this series. Who wins it as an honest Phoenix Suns fans? I'm just wondering, right? Because even this game right here, 3 out of 4 quarters, I honestly think the Clippers played better than y'all. That third quarter is where they came in, went on the 18-0 run. Clippers went 3 for 18 in that quarter. Booker had 25 points alone. They had 2 points in the last 4 minutes of that third. And Clippers shot 5 for 21, and it was 50-24 in that third, right? Even in the fourth quarter, you know, 5 minutes left, Clippers came back. It's a 2-point game, you know? So, like, I feel like the Clippers were out hustling the Phoenix Suns with offensive rebounds, second chance points. And obviously the Clippers had a lot of mislaps with turnovers, you know, near the end of the game and stuff like that. But I'm just like, we don't even have to have both superstars. If you had one superstar of Kawhi Leonard, I think this series is turned around. I really, really do. So, you know, congratulations to the Phoenix Suns. We'll see what you do against the Denver Nuggets.
Ooh, oh boy. Suns fans are going to be active in those comments. Let me tell you. Super Mario, what are your opening thoughts, takeaways? Chris Paul insults.
I mean, I feel like at this point I've made it known that, like, I don't know, just Chris Paul isn't the same player. I mean, he played okay today though, but like what I will say is, like, just for this series, like, you know, like obviously Devin Booker was on a whole nother level. I'd probably say this is his best series. And you know, one of the best things about it though is that, like, he has Kevin Durant alongside him, especially like in this situation. It's like they got to give so much attention to at least one of those guys. And they elected, you know, Kevin Durant. He's the more proven player. So Devin Booker went off and he took advantage of it. Literally today I was checking, like, so when he had that 25-point quarter, that was tied for the 5th most ever with Dame, behind Allen Iverson. That's your guy, Suns Geek.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Former son Charles Barkley,
Yep.
Mark Aguirre, and the leaderboard, Eric Sleepy Floyd, which is probably something that a lot of people didn't know. Yeah. But
you and I know who that is.
yeah, but people probably just don't know that, like, off the top of their head there. Yeah. But either way though, like, he was insane this series. I got, you know, the first 2 games I was like kind of unsure because it felt like he was kind of slow to start off, but these last 3 games he definitely took advantage when, I guess, like, he you know, like, smelt, like, I don't know what the phrase is. I can't even think of the phrase, but it's like smelt blood or something like that, or, you know what I mean? Right. So, you know, there's that. I think, like, for the Suns though, like Top Notch said, like, they are pretty, like, heavy with, like, a very small rotation, and that's good to an extent in the playoffs. But, like, I don't know. Like, I'm just looking at, like, the depth. I mean, Josh Okogie was not bad today, but other than that, like, these role players, I mean, Torrey Craig came back to life today. And that's probably even, like, too disrespectful just because he did, like, nothing basically. But let's be real. Doing nothing is more realistic out of Torrey Craig than getting 20 points a game. You know what I mean? Like, the guy was going...
I hit the wrong button. Damn it. Sorry.
That scared me, actually.
I'm not gonna... so bad.
That was like a jump scare.
Click it off, dude. Click it off.
Anyways,
I hit the wrong button.
I thought no, but Booker was great. KD, Ayton as well. Like, I'm just looking, like, it sucks for the Clippers though, just because, like, they did play hard. And I mean, you know how I feel about the Clippers over the past few years. I think, honestly, like, if everyone's at 100%, this is probably the best team in the NBA. Like, that's just how I feel about them. That's how I felt about them for a while. You know how I feel about Kawhi. I think he's personally the best player in the NBA come playoff time. So losing that, it makes it tough. And especially, it not just because of the Clippers' chances, but, like, I want to see 6 future Hall of Famers go at it. You know what I mean? Like, with Kawhi, PG, and Russ, and then also with Booker, Durant, and Chris Paul. Right. And maybe DeAndre Ayton, but, I mean, he's got a little ways to go for that. But, I mean, like, the point is, like, that would make for a legendary – this could have been, like, the greatest first-round series ever. but we kind of got robbed of that. But now it's like it's interesting to see what the Clippers are gonna do because like now that this is the 4th year, 3 of the years they've had injuries. The other year was the bubble, and even then, like their rotation guys missed a lot of the games before the bubble. Like I remember.
Or I was gonna say Norman Powell missed a lot of this season, but
yeah. Like, but even like in that bubble year, remember like Harrell was like with his grandma or something that passed away, and then Pat Beverly was gone, and Lemon Pepper Lou, and all those moments. But like they haven't had a moment where they could like get together like a cohesive unit and stay healthy throughout the playoffs. At least the core guys. Yeah. And even the bubble they shouldn't have blown, but like the point is like. That's what's tough, and now they're going to be in a decision. As for the Suns, though, moving on to Denver, and I know you probably have a lot of thoughts because now, hey, guess what? Jamal Murray's healthy.
The greatest player ever, according to some people on Twitter.
Top notch. If you don't know, when they played a couple years ago, this man, Suns Geek, and all Suns Nation was livid when Nuggets fans said, "Well, if Jamal Murray was healthy."
Yep,
the series
won the series, and
but I'm reading the comments and they're coming at me talking about why top notch hair and this and that of what ifs. Man, every team uses what ifs. Let's be honest with you. If you're a team,
I use what ifs all the time.
What ifs are just gonna always be here, guys. It's just a reality.
So real quick, I wanted to shout out Mark Jackson. Appreciate you being here, man. Thank you to everybody that's watching right now. If you guys haven't already, destroy that like button. Hulk smash that like button.
Mark Jackson.
Yes, Mark Jackson from ESPN, former point guard, etc. He's here. But he said the Clippers are no joke. They worked the Suns big time. Absolutely. Ultimately, the Suns win. Denver. Next is Denver. Another hard fight. Go Suns. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And I do appreciate that. And thank you to everybody once again for being here. So real quick, my opening thoughts, everybody. And then we'll get to Devin Booker's incredible performance. My only thing is I just want to see the Suns put it together for at least just 40 minutes out of the 48-minute game. And even Torrey Craig has talked about that. Like, I want to see this team as a cohesive unit just for 40 minutes. That's all I'm asking, man. And that goes on both sides of the ball because as we saw, we were talking, with Kawhi being out and PG being out, this is a completely different series. I think it goes 7 games. Obviously, I'm going to pick my Suns, but I think it would go down to the wire 7 games. But I want to see this team just put it together, especially on defense. Any team in the league can get any players to drive to the rim on us and score. The Clippers were hitting big shots. We had like 4 or 5 turnovers late in the 4th quarter. Now, obviously, the Clippers had kind of a late turnover, I believe, late in this game, and things kind of swung our way. But this was a ball game. And it seemed like it was over at the end of the 3rd quarter. Devin Booker was doing all that he could. Kevin Durant was doing all that he could. They legit carried us. And as you mentioned, Super Mario Hoops, we didn't get anything out of Torrey Craig, but he has been excellent this series, though. His numbers have been skyrocketing, especially him hitting those corner threes, playing great defense as well, doing all that he could. We saw a lot of Josh Okogie minutes tonight. We're going to go over the numbers and everything. But my thought is, again, I want to see this team put it together for 40 minutes. That's all I'm asking, offensively and defensively. And look, I don't know. We're going to get to the numbers here in a minute. And I'm just looking just real quick. And I'm so repetitive on this channel, but I really mean this. We had 13 threes tonight. We attempted 26. If we can get that number to go higher and obviously more threes to go in, because I think at halftime, we only had like 4 or 5 threes. Or like attempted, I want to say. It was a low number. When those threes start falling, I have said this every single show. When those threes start falling, we're going to be a tough team to beat. But we need to get the attempts higher too. But I cannot believe that we've gone 16 minutes without talking about one of the greatest scoring performances in playoff history, one of the greatest quarters ever in playoff history, and definitely one of the greatest Suns quarters in playoff history. Let's talk about Devin freaking Booker.
Devin Armani Booker.
Never gets old seeing you in that.
Shout out to the Suns social media team. I think that was in 2019. They put me in one of those commercials. But Real quick. So you read a stat earlier, Super Mario, but this comes from the great Matt Williams, who I believe works for ESPN. He's Stats William on Twitter. He's a research producer with ESPN. And I'm just going to share it so y'all can see it. But he said Devin Booker and Kevin Durant combined for 38 points in the third quarter. That is the most combined points in any quarter by a duo over the last 25 postseasons. Booker outscored the Clippers by himself 25-24.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't matter who you put in front of him. Devin Booker was just on one. And this kind of, it's been a tricky series, I believe, for Kevin Durant. I'm going to zoom in on this so y'all can see it. Because in my opinion, with Kevin Durant, he's been so well guarded and even double teamed to the extent we haven't really seen KD go off like Devin Booker did tonight. But that's another reason why you go get Kevin Durant, so Devin Booker can have these offensive explosions. And that was just one of those quarters where you got to just put down your phone and just be glued to the TV. And Super Mario, you've heard me say this so many times on this channel. It just doesn't surprise me anymore, dude. That was just one of the greatest scoring performances ever. So Super Mario, we'll start with you on this one. What did you see from Booker in that third quarter? I mean, do we even have to really spend too much time on this? Because that was just incredible.
I mean, he dominated the game simply. Yeah. I mean, like, again, it's hard, like, just because, like, the Clippers are such a weird team. Like, it's a weird mix right now, like, especially with guys out and also, like, not, like, a whole lot of shooters per se or, like, catch and shoot guys. Maybe, like, Norman Powell, I guess, but he's on and off. And Batum hit a couple today, but he's been, like, let's face it, he's been trash like most of the series and season. So, like, it was just kind of hard. But you look at the Suns, I mean, like, they were exploiting everything there. Like, as much as Zubac gets, like, praised by some Clipper fans, like, that man's so overrated defensively. Like, let's be real. Like, so I think personally, like, they took advantage of where they were supposed to. And then the shots started to fall. I mean, like, Chris Paul, I don't know how many he even had too, but he had like a couple three. He had 3 of them today. So, I mean, like, it just made everything easier for everyone else. And then, like, I think, like, when, I don't know if you remember, it was like a 12-point game. And then, like, after Booker had gotten it going and they threw multiple guys at him. And then Durant had like a corner 3 in the left corner. And, like, he barely even, he didn't even have to hardly jump, but he, like, knew it was going in. And I think they called timeout. The Clippers did. So, like, that, like, at that point, I'm like, yeah, this is just over. Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't think he was going to let them lose at home. You know, they're not frauds like the Celtics. But yeah, I just thought it was crazy.
Top notch. Any takes or any opinion on Devin Booker's incredible performance tonight?
Yeah, man, I have a question. Like, I wish Ty Lue can answer this question for me because, you know, the Clippers defense is very frustrating because they switch everything and it's always going to be a mismatch all the time. And their drop coverage is super annoying. That's why I can't stand Zubac and Mason Plumlee sometimes because they drop every single time. And you can't drop when Devin Booker is like a top tier mid-range shooter in this league. He's going to make it every single time. And so they try to switch the rotations in their lineups and go small ball. And it was working. But on the defense end, you have Bones Highland, Terrence Mann, Russell Westbrook, Norman Powell, and then like maybe a big or more. It's like, it's just not going to work. So no one can stick in front of Devin Booker, right? And so this is why I wish if just Kawhi Leonard was out there, I think this could be totally different. I'm not saying Devin Booker is not going to keep doing what he's going to keep doing, but the dude, it was just like shoot around for him. He's just like getting the ball. Yep. He asks for the screen. Who's going to be there? Is going to be Mason Plumlee or another smaller guard like Norman Powell. And then Russell Westbrook played good defense on Devin Booker, but you can't put Russ on D-Book the whole game.
Exactly.
Because he has to go on the offense and score. Like, you can't do that. And, like, there'll be possessions where, Russ will stop him a little bit. But Devin Booker is just that dude. I don't like him, but I respect his game. I respect what he does on the court. And he gets buckets. He just gets buckets. Phoenix Suns fans, like, I don't like him, but like I respect him. I'm not going to be like one of these Lakers fans who, like, they like to bash everybody and not give them the respect, So shout out to Devin Booker, man. But like I said, I just want to say this one more thing, right? Why wasn't we throwing sometimes we was throwing extra bodies at Booker, but I feel like maybe this is a crazy take. Let Kevin Durant beat us because I understand what Kevin Durant has done in his career, but KD to me, I know this is crazy, but the dude's hitting the side of the backboard. He don't like KD's still KD, but Devin Booker was just on another level. So why didn't we just throw extra bodies at D Book? Let KD beat us now.
That's why I said I was like, we haven't really seen KD like take over this series because the Clippers have just swarmed him.
Yeah.
That's the
Super
typical
Mario,
typical Ty Lue game plan there. Playing guys like Marcus Morris, like half the games, literally starting him. Like, bro, that guy can't even play anymore. Like, with all due respect, he needs to go to the Yin Yang Flying Tigers.
I think it was around the third quarter. Someone tweeted out that like the Suns went on a run all because of Marcus Morris, and I responded with a picture.
So bad,
like him in a Suns jersey. I was like, Marcus Morris helping out the Suns, like.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just have a question, right? Because I know a lot of fans, like we are biased in some sense, like right. We are hard for our fan base, but I just have a question for the chat because I'm like reading it. I think it's funny. I'm used to it now because like I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, so I get hate no matter what, right? But for just the people in the comment sections, what did I say wrong into like my statement? I'm not hating. I'm just kind of just speaking facts right now, but it's okay.
Well, I think honestly though, like. I feel like something's going to happen with the Clipper. I feel like it's very unlikely that Kawhi or Paul George actually gets traded, but like maybe Tyronn Lue is like gone and they got to get rid of Zubac. Like they've had this guy for like so many years. I get it. Like he's better with them than he was ever with the Lakers. So it's a bonus there. You'll get more value for him than when you traded. I think it was like Mike Muscala to get him or something. But like, the point is the guy, he's not it. Like we were talking about, he drop cover. He's like a drop coverage merchant, literally. So when you get a guy like Devin Booker who can't miss, like they didn't even really, that was the thing that confused me is that like Booker, the last 3 games took over every game, but they didn't even like think like, okay, let's put pressure on Durant too. Cause you remember when we were on game 1, right? I remember Durant had like a 14 or 15 minute stretch. He didn't shoot the ball.
Yep.
So like
we've seen that a few times throughout the series where he'd go minutes without shooting a field goal.
I don't really get why, that was, but I mean, like, I don't get like why they didn't like adjust to that, but I mean, you got to give the Suns credit. It's not even just like, Booker, Durant, but like, I don't know where the Suns would be in this series without Torrey Craig. I know he sucked today, really, but like
dude.
that dude had the series of his life.
Dude,
let me talk about
so good.
I'll talk about Torrey Craig real quick, man. Yeah. I was like, the game plan sometimes, right? It's like you let the role players beat you, and then I'm like, okay, Torrey Craig had that good game. I'm like, okay, next game he continues to play good. I'm like, all right, hold up. Next game he continues to play good, and I'm just like, Torrey Craig was never this like that guy to like knock down threes. Like he was just mainly known as a defender, and then he came into the
32.
Keep in mind, this was coming into Game 5, but look at those numbers. Yeah, that's amazing.
He's making half his shots from the 3 and more than half at the fit. Like it was just crazy. So, but my big question is now, right? We need to see him continue to do this each round, right? Against the Denver Nuggets, this is going to be huge. And for the Denver Nuggets, I mean, we can talk about it later. I didn't ready for it now, but.
That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to see Torrey Craig continue to step up. And then also too, like, you could tell like the Phoenix Suns, the KD trade was just so late into the season where like Monty still doesn't know the rotations properly of who to go out there and stuff like that. But Cam Payne is back, and so I think that's going to help y'all a lot, right?
Yes.
So he can run the second unit because if you notice, right, the Suns were so starter heavy because no one can score coming off their bench. Cam Payne, on the other hand, a few years ago, the dude was balling, right? This year kind of took a step back and stuff. But if he can just, get a little punch from that bench, then the Phoenix Suns could make some moves, right? So
this is like I think we've talked. Me and Suns Geek have talked about this before. Like there's a mystery sometimes, and my boy, I know he didn't play much today, but when my boy Landry Shamet gets a ton of minutes,
he hit a 3 in this game. And I'm actually celebrating that fact.
And that was it. But the dude, he like the first few games in this series, he was getting way too many minutes. Like, with all due respect. So, like, that's my big question, too. It's like, and I know you have to adjust, like, in different series and stuff like that. But, like, I don't know how I feel about, like, 5, 6 guys getting, like, the lion's share of the minutes, and then everyone else gets less than like 10 minutes basically in the series. And I mean, I don't know, like that's just like the thing for me. But either way, they got it done. Torrey Craig though, revenge series on the way against Denver, former team.
Facts.
Suns Geek, I have a question.
Yes,
so,
sir.
You brought in Terrence Ross, right? He played early. He played early into the series. He probably took a couple shots, never touched the court ever again. Do you see him being a big part heading into the next round? Do you see him playing, or like, where do you see what T. Ross?
Great question. Monty, as we all know, for better or worse, is all about matchups. So we're gonna have to see, but I think kind of how you sort of reference, he took a couple shots and then he didn't see the court after that. He's got to make those shots. He's been a little inconsistent since he's been here, but at the same time, we've seen him pretty much help us win games. Like, I believe he had like a 24-point game late in the season. I think even a 30-point game, if I remember correctly. But he's a little inconsistent. He literally is the definition of like streaky. I hope we can see him more. I would have wanted to see him a little bit more in these past couple of games because, I hate to pick on Landry Shamet here, but there was that one game where Shamet had like 24 minutes and like, I don't know how many, 0 points probably. Like that could have been a Terrence Ross moment. Maybe more TJ Warren, for example. But also, and I'm sure Super Mario, you and I have talked about this, just like, and I've talked about it on the show too, like Monty Williams just sticking to his 8 or 9 guys. Because in game one, he played like 11 players. Like, you can't do that in the playoffs, man. I understand the circumstances because Kevin Durant only played 8 games, before the playoffs and everything, still figuring things out. I don't know. That's a great question though. And real quick, I want to bring it back to you, Top Notch. And there's more Suns players I want to talk about, but we're going to jump to the Clippers and we're going to jump to your all-time favorite player. And Super Mario, you know me, man. I'm a Russell Westbrook fan as well. I think he's one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. So it's Top Notch. Just real quick, what we didn't get a great Westbrook game, and the difference between this game and game one was, in game one he did it defensively, and he did it in that fourth quarter with some clutch defensive plays. That play where he blocked Booker and then threw it off of him, and then those offensive rebounds like in game one, and he was excellent all series long. I'm reading the numbers here. Coming into today's game, he was averaging 26 points while shooting 46, pretty much 41% from 3, and then 88% from the free throw line. Tonight, though, he had 14 points in 39 minutes, 3 for 18 from the field, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. What did you see from Russell Westbrook is what I'm trying to ask you.
It's funny because I watched Russell Westbrook ever since for a while now, and so I know when Russ is gonna have a bad game, and it's weird, right? You kind of can tell by his run, you could tell by his shot selection, you could tell by him just missing easy layups,
like his body language.
Yeah, his body language, and I felt that off rip. I think he took a layup and then a jumper, and then I was like, he ain't gonna have a good game.
I saw that too.
Yep, and so I was just like, but something, for Russell Westbrook. Even though, he lost his game, I think a lot of people now kind of give him a little more respect. So that's what I'm a little bit happy about, right? I have a boy named John in Clutch Talk. He is probably the biggest Russell Westbrook hater in the game. And I just have a few questions where, this series, he did great, right? He did what he could do, right? There's like coming into this series, I'm going to be honest with you. I was just like, let's see what he can do, right? Because
we don't know what we're going to get out of him.
Exactly. Yeah. And one thing that I was most impressed about was him being confident shooting the 3. The 3, he was getting the ball, no hesitation. Even today's game, he was hesitating, and that's how I know something was in his head, right? Even the free throws, right? He was being very consistent with the free throws, right?
He was 7 for 8 today in the game from free throw.
Yeah, and like even during the regular season when he was with the Lakers and even the Clippers, he struggled with that, right? On the defense end, it's no matter what. When he's going against KD, he's always going to go try hard, right? So that's why like he's always going to get the steals from behind or block the shots, from behind and stuff like that. So great series from Russell Westbrook. There was a conversation going on, and once again, John said, does Russell Westbrook get a vet minimum? And I honestly felt like that's very disrespectful. Shaking my head.
Especially after this series.
Yes. A vet minimum. Even let's be honest, even if Russ didn't play this well, I still don't think Russ is a vet minimum player. Like, I think that's just super disrespectful. This is no matter what, right? But I think someone brought up a good point. He may outplay himself because can the Clippers bring him back, because he's going to be like, I was the only one playing. I had a solid series. I bring the leadership. You need us, because they don't have a true point guard on that team, right? Bones Highland is not a true point guard. That dude goes out there and thinks he's playing street basketball every time he's out there.
Tries to ISO Chris Paul and then blows both of those possessions.
So I was thinking of a mid-level exception, but Russell Westbrook's, like, we all know as Russell Westbrook fans, will he accept that? Will he take that? And so we'll see from there. I personally don't want him going to the Clippers, though. I don't. I can't take it no more.
Super Mario, because again, we're going to come back to the Suns and everything, keep going down the list, talking about the players. But what did you see from Russell Westbrook in tonight's game, and really just all series long? Because he's been pretty much incredible outside of today.
Well, I guess the difference between tonight and game one was he took one less shot.
Hey, he was pretty damn good though in game one, besides the shooting.
I was just saying that to mess with Top Notch, because like, I know he didn't shoot well in game one, but he was still pretty important, and he was huge for the win in there.
Especially the whole series too. And
even tonight, like, even before we just started recording, like I said, like, there's a lot of reasons why they lost. Like, it's not just like the Westbrook missed layup. Like, the ball went through Terrence Mann's hand literally when he passed it to him, and then like Norman Powell thinks he's like Sham God or something like that, like with the handles, and he's not. So like he there's a lot of and Zubac again, we already touched on that. So the thing I'm kind of concerned though with Westbrook is kind of this. So like, I'm a D Rose fan. You guys know that.
No, you're not a D Rose fan, bro.
I tell Suns Geek this all the time. I literally debated Top Notch here about D Rose and Russ for like an hour or something like that. So, but my point is, like, 2 years ago, when D Rose, he was kind of seen as like maybe the leader or like an important guy on the Knicks. Like, he wasn't seen as like the primary player, but come playoff time, he was their best player in the series, right? And the years prior to that, like with the year with the Wolves when he stayed there again, and the year with the Pistons when he signed those 2 contracts, those were really cheap contracts. But after that playoff series, he got, I believe, like 3 years, $13-14 million. And from what I saw the years prior to that is that he's not a guy that's like willing, or he doesn't really care about the money or anything like that. Now, he got paid then. He got his, I guess, values worth then after that playoff series. But my thing with Westbrook is that, like, I don't know, like, let's say a team, like, let's say that's his value, or even if it's more or something like that, because if that's how he sees his own value for or something like that, like, how many teams would be able to give him that? Like, I feel like only the Rockets or like the Spurs, and one of them is probably going to get Scoot Henderson in the draft. So it's probably going to be one of those teams, or he'd have to take less money or a different role or something like that. And that's kind of the big thing. And I know he did like come off the bench, most of this year with the Lakers. So that's kind of like a good sign in terms of like, I guess, like, not like taking I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but like taking a different role or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, that's a good step in the right direction, but I'm interested to see if this series, maybe if it like turns the tides again, because he's been starting with him over the past couple months, and maybe like he thinks I'm still an all-star caliber player. The Lakers was just a bad fit for me, because the season before that, he averaged a triple-double with the Wizards and everything like that. So maybe he thinks, I can still be about that good, or maybe close to that good if I get a chance, and maybe I could still get paid a decent amount, maybe 15-20 million a year. And I'm just thinking, like, most of these teams, like, there's a lot of great point guards in the league right now, and even the guys that maybe you could argue Westbrook on his own team could do more than, like, production-wise. Like, you could argue that he'd do more than
Tyus Jones.
Sure. Like, you could argue he'd do more than Tyus Jones, but would he fit in that situation maybe better than Tyus Jones? I don't know if he would.
I don't know why. I just wanted to pick on Tyus Jones for a minute.
I was trying to think of like a starting point guard, but like Cade Cunningham or something like that. But like, maybe Westbrook, if he got that opportunity, he could play better or just as good or perform just as high as Cade Cunningham would. But it's like the Pistons, that direction they're going, I don't know if that would really make sense.
You
So
know,
it's go ahead.
my fault. So my take. I honestly think because him and Paul George, they have a bond. They're really close friends. And Paul George already made it known that he wants to bring him back. But for Steve Ballmer, he got to get frustrated, right? And even the front office, because it's like, we brought these two superstar players to come in, right? And they just been a huge curse. But not only did they bring in superstar players, but they brought in a lot of depth players. Like you said earlier into the show, they probably have the deepest team in the NBA, right? Let's not forget, Robert Covington didn't even play hardly that series, and Robert Covington could be playing on anybody. If he went to the Phoenix Suns, he could be playing, right?
Dude,
he was a starter right before he came here in Portland.
So like they're really, really deep. And I was actually looking at all the salaries and stuff like that for the Clippers, and players that are not going to be there next year is going to be Russ and Mason Plumlee, right? Everybody else are on contract, and I'm probably missing a few other players, but the main core pieces are there. And so, do they run it back? Because personally, I think if they run it back, it's going to be another thing where Kawhi Leonard messes up his knee, Paul George gets something like this. This is the reason why I don't want him going back to Clippers, because it gives me hope of like, okay, I think we can win a championship finally. And then bam, injury happens. Bam, an injury happens. And it's once again, Russ is by himself, like always, So we'll see. But also too, we got to look at Russell Westbrook needs shooters around him. The Lakers did not have that. They didn't have no spacing. The Clippers, on the other hand, they just chuck a lot of threes, and there's plenty of spacing. They can go small ball, and that's why Russ can easily get to the rim, and easily just find his teammates. You can't do that when you have Troy Brown out there. Now he wants to start hitting shots. But then you can't do that when you have bums out there, so Russ on the Lakers now, I think it would work perfectly, right? Because now you got the shooters, but it's just like you need shooting around him. So if he can't go to a team that's not going to have shooting or coaching, that's another thing too. I don't know if the fit is going to work, right? So
especially if like next year, like with the new CBA rules, like you got to play at least 65 games to qualify for like MVP or All NBA. So it's like, so if you're Kawhi or if you're Paul George, the last 2 years, Kawhi has not been an all-star because he missed the whole one season. He wasn't one this year because he only played part of the games. So if we're going into next year and he doesn't play like a certain amount of games, he gets, cheesed out of the all-star game. He doesn't make all NBA.
Devin Booker.
Well, yeah. And then like come playoff time, he's healthy, but then he gets another injury like this. What are we going to be looking at with Kawhi? Because even though he might just be the greatest playoff performer right now, like in the league, you could argue that. But if he's not playing then, and he's not playing in the regular season enough, and he's not getting any accolades, what's he doing? It just seems like he's collecting money, and he's still showing that he can play well, but it's not really amounting to anything. Like it's like think of the year Jalen Brunson had this year, but then it's like an injury happens in the first round of the playoffs every single year. Because that guy got snubbed out of the All-Star game. He's probably going to get snubbed out of All-NBA. He got snubbed out of Most Improved Player. So imagine having a season like that for like 4 straight years.
My whole thing with the Clippers, this might sound like a casual take, but like I looked up Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's contracts. They're unrestricted free agents, I believe, in 2025. So it's like, do the Clippers, quote, run it back and bring back Westbrook and whatever the case may be? And again, the whole injuries obviously play a factor. And you could say that about every team, but it really is a red flag with this Clippers team. And
I personally think that they're going to at least want to keep – I think Ballmer at least wants to keep them for the first year they moved into that new arena.
Yeah.
Just for like the new fans over there. And then if it's still not working, then they're going to probably move on. But I feel like that's kind of just like the bring in tickets and stuff like that. I mean, because just like a new area, like – I don't know how that's going to do because it's like you think like there's a lot of Laker fans that go to Clipper games too. I know like you're even talking like Top Notch, like literally John too, Clutch Talk. Like he goes to Clipper games sometimes too. So like there's literally Laker fans that go there, but maybe like to see another team play or something. But like in a different, side of the city or whatever, like it might be different.
Yeah, and let's be honest, right? When's the last time Steve Ballmer wants to win, right? He's tired of being the basement boys or whatever you want to call them, right? There's a reason why he could every single trade deadline Who's making a move? The Clippers, right? Even if it's a little move like they did today, this year, right? The Mason Plumlee was a huge move, right? It was a huge move. Adding Bones Highland, adding Russell Westbrook. Believe it or not, the players that they added were on the court majority of the time of this series, you know? So I don't ever see this. Let me not say ever, but like, does this team ever like, let's retool. Let's take a step back. I don't think they do that because I think they just want to win so bad. You see their owner in the front of the crowd all the time getting amped, like he wants to win now. And so, say if they trade one of these players, right, Kawhi Leonard or Paul George, I think one of the stars are gonna have a problem with that, right? I don't think because Paul George lately on his podcast has been talking a lot about everything, you know. So it's like, run it back. I think if they run it back, I think with the same roster they have, and let go of Marcus Morris because he's just terrible, right? I think they could be a good team, but we keep saying that every single year, and they continue to prove us wrong. So I have no hope for this Clippers team. I'm just glad Russell Westbrook played good basketball to shut people up, like shaking my head, like clutch talk. Everybody in the comment sections, all the Russell Westbrook haters. I'm just saying, man.
My whole thing, just real quick, and we can kind of move on here, is, and this might sound like obviously does Suns Geek, but like if they don't win it next year, you know what I mean? Like even with Steve Ballmer and everything, like do they blow it up? Do they trade a PG? Do they trade a Kawhi? Like I don't know. I think next year has to be like maybe the final straw, if you will. But again, if they can stay healthy,
I'm taking my eggs out of that basket next year, and then maybe that'll be the year that they'll finally freaking do it.
Right.
but who? Because we can move on. I'm sorry, but I just have a question. Okay. Who are you gonna like? Out of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, you're gonna see who gets the best value out of it. And I honestly think it would be Paul George because I don't think anybody wants to deal with Kawhi Leonard at the moment. But what are you getting out of that? Because when you look at the stars players that have been getting traded so far this season, like the value is not that high like everybody thinks it's going to be. The only value you're going to get is like if you trade a Luka or like a Shea, like Kevin Durant's value, Kyrie Irving, like they're older. So like they're not going to trade a bunch for these players, you know?
If I'm the Clippers, I'm trading Paul George simply because it's not just the value, but like if you keep Paul George and you make him the number one, this is a guy who literally less than a month ago said, I can't be a number one option. He said that on his own podcast. He's like, I had to accept that. So, and he's never won anything on like any level. So, but at least with Kawhi, like, yeah, he might be injury prone and everything like that. But what we do know is that if that guy's healthy, like he's a bad dude. So, and Paul George isn't healthy much himself either. So like, what's there to lose?
I just want to throw this out there. And again, we all knew this. Kawhi Leonard is a bad dude because before he went down with the injury, he was averaging like 34, 6, 6 on great shooting splits.
Best player in the league.
Look,
King of LA.
I can be biased all day, but this is a 7-game series, probably down to the wire if Kawhi plays. It's that plain and simple.
I told you. I said if it's just Kawhi, I think it's going 7.
Right. Yeah. And that's the tricky thing about the Suns team, man. That's why my little rant at the start. I was like, I want to see the Suns team put it together for 40 minutes, man. Especially against some of the greatest players like Kawhi, or next round going to be Nikola Jokic, and according to Twitter, the greatest player of all time, Jamal Murray. So
the Phoenix Suns, though, like,
I'm never going to let people live that down. I'm sorry.
Like in this series, though, like, see, that's the thing for the Suns is that like they won this series and everything like that, but it didn't feel like they won. You know, like a majority of the time, it felt like the Clippers outplayed them. They just simply weren't good enough in like the last 3 games.
What's tricky about that is the way they started the first halves, especially the first
every single game, basically,
except for maybe this game.
They would come back near the end of the second quarter every single time.
That's what's frustrating, though.
But
we
like
sucked in the first halves of most of these games.
Half of the early games, and you know, in this game too, they didn't really make a push down the end of the first half. But like half of the early games, then in the third quarter, the Clippers would turn up again and stuff like that. Like it feels like if you look through like a majority of the quarters, they probably lost them, honestly. And it kind of reminds me of, I don't even know if you guys remember like that series, it was in the year that the Cavs won the title, but like when they played the Pistons in the first round and they swept them, like they had like Reggie Jackson and Drummond and I think Tobias Harris and stuff. They swept them, but every game that series was so close, and it almost felt like the Pistons outplayed them in that series. They just weren't good enough.
Right.
Like it's simple.
It's like the Sixers series, right? It's like they swept the Nets, but it's like no one's even like, okay. Like it's like I don't know. I feel like the Sixers just like, I mean, obviously it was expected, but it's like you coming out that series like we're still not big on the Sixers right now. You're just not, you know?
Yeah.
So
well, at least they're not the Bucks.
So real quick, because this show is flying by, and we can go for as long as you guys want to go, but I just wanted just to real quick touch on a few Suns players, because that's what we do here at Top Notch. We kind of go down the list, and we don't have to spend too much time, especially talking about players like Landry Shamet. We probably shouldn't even talk about him. But there is one player I do want to talk about. I thought he was pretty good in this game. DeAndre Ayton. Let's play the drop.
The Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, 36 minutes, 21 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 9 for 18 shooting. And, we kind of like how we saw throughout the first half of this game. And I don't put the full blame on DeAndre Ayton, but we definitely got killed in the rebounding battle throughout the first half of the game and the second chance points, which, by the way, I kind of wanted to look that up. The Suns only lost the rebounding battle by 3, but the Clippers had 17 offensive rebounds. I don't care what the stats say. We are a garbage rebounding team, and we have been all season long. But DeAndre Ayton, man, I thought he's pretty damn good in this game. Really active from the jump, top notch. I know that you say you haven't really watched many Suns games this year, but the problem with DeAndre Ayton is just his consistency from game to game and him being engaged. And tonight, I think throughout most of this game, especially in the first half, was super engaged. Was doing all that he could, especially defensively, and I thought he was great. And this is the DeAndre Ayton that we're going to need, especially against Nikola Jokic, who, believe it or not, Ayton actually puts up pretty damn good numbers against Nikola Jokic. So I thought he was really good. I just wanted to give him his flowers real quick. I don't know if either of you have any thoughts or takeaways with Ayton. I just think he deserves his flowers. He was good tonight.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton. I feel DeAndre Ayton's a funny man. He's really funny because, like, we knew he was going to get less opportunities, less touches when you trade for Kevin Durant, right? But for heading into the next series, right? I'm not sure if Mike Malone's going to give him those shots that the Clippers gave him, right? If you notice, DeAndre Ayton had a lot of wide open mid-range shots. And yes, some of them will go in, but a lot of them will miss. And then a lot of stuff around the rim. He misses a lot of easy layups. It's like he's not concentrating and stuff like that. You got to put
he hesitates a little bit.
Yeah. So, and then he puts the ball on the ground. I think a lot of centers do that, and it's frustrating because the guards will just smack it out your hand all the time. But yeah, I got to give credit, right? DeAndre Ayton finally had a good game, right? Well, not finally, but this is his best game of this series, right? Double, shot 50% from the field, and did his thing. And honestly, if he didn't play like this, I think, the game, even though it was already close enough, but Ayton kind of like put the Suns into like the big lead before D-Book, started going off, right? DeAndre Ayton was the guy they were going to a lot, getting easy layups and stuff like that. So shout out to DeAndre Ayton, man. I do have a question though for the Suns fans and for Suns Geek. Do you want DeAndre Ayton on your team for the future, or are you kind of ready to move on from him? I know you got the contract and stuff like that, but this
was the conversation long before the Kevin Durant trade. Let me tell you. Yeah, I do, man, because even though I've always said this, like I'm Ayton's biggest critic, but I'm also his biggest fan because when he's on, dude, we're a tough team to beat. Even before KD, we were a tough team to beat whenever Ayton's playing consistently. But yeah, and I believe kind of like how we saw with the OKC Thunder, I believe like you need a big man to win in this league. That's my personal opinion, but I'm an old school basketball fan, like the Bill Russells, Wilt Chamberlains, I love those kind of guys. Super Mario knows that. So I just believe you need at least a decent center. Even the Clippers, man, like I know that Zubac is pretty terrible in the series, but he's a serviceable big man, you know what I mean?
Stop.
Hey, I like Zubac, man. I like him. I'm a fanboy, all right? I don't know why. I'm a fanboy.
He's just so frustrating to watch. I mean, he's not terrible. Like, I mean,
he's serviceable.
guys like Yusuf
Serviceable.
Nurkic and Dwight Powell exist, but like, I mean, I don't know.
You could admit it though. When he's in the post, his off the glass layup is always going to go in. It's a high percentage all the time, right? So
Yeah.
And then also, like, I know bigs like if we're not gonna talk about Joel and like Jokic, the top bigs, but for a big, he's pretty solid at the free throw line too, because he gets fouled often, right? And he knocks them down. So, like I said, I think you're a little bit being too hard on Zubac. I think he played a big part of like why they were.
He kind of faded throughout the series, though.
No,
I
he
will say
definitely
that.
did, and that's why Mason Plumlee was playing a lot of those next two games. The last two games, Mason Plumlee finished out.
Plumlee was great in this game, by the way.
I feel like he just plays a lot. Like, I mean, the numbers won't reflect it because one guy gets more opportunities than another, but I feel like he just plays a lot like Looney, but like he's less athletic.
Like, real quick, I'm sorry, Super Mario. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's all I was gonna say. But were you still talking about Aiden or?
I was just gonna say just real quick with DeAndre Ayton, because you referenced it top notch. Like a lot of centers sometimes go down when they get the ball. There was one play, and Ayton might have gotten away with a travel. But I think Josh Okogie like found him under the paint and he kind of just like spun around. He didn't go down. He just went up and threw it down, dude. I was like, that's what we need you to do, DeAndre Ayton. And then there was I think there was one play where Kevin Durant found him on a pick and roll and he just flew in there and like that's DeAndre Ayton that we need, man.
Easy.
So I think like for Ayton, like at least for this series, like so he's always one of the things I've always noticed about Ayton is that like he gets happy feet. And like sometimes like he'll almost like rush shots and stuff. I feel like in this series he almost showed he like didn't show it quite as much. Like almost like see guys like Andrew Wiggins and like Kobe White, and like I know that as a Bulls fan, like they've had that as well. But like I feel like Ayton, like when he pulled up for like pick and pop 10-foot jumpers or whatever, like he wasn't really hesitating. And that's why, like, literally the one game I remember, I think like Reggie was commentating with Kevin Harlan or something. I know. But like Reggie was saying like, he can't miss. He's like, he's insane or something. Like he like made 6 in a row or something. But here's my thing, like with Denver and like with Jokic is I know Ayton played good against him in 2021 when you guys did win in like 4 and stuff.
Yeah.
The thing I'm concerned about, though, with the Nuggets is they've had probably the most of, the Kings, I guess, as well. But other than that, they've probably had the most consistency of like a main unit all year long. And you look at points in the paint, they're ranked 3rd in points in the paint, like per game. They're ranked 4th in 3-point percentage. They're the only team in the league that's top 5 in both those categories. And why is that? Nikola Jokic. Right? Like that inside out game that he provides, it's going to be so hard to cover. And it's going to be so hard for the Suns who sometimes, I know their defense has been better actually, like in some stretches, like recently, but it's going to be hard to cover all that ground with Jokic at the forefront. And sometimes they get a little lazy at like protecting the basket. Like I think you even said
we're so bad at guarding the basket.
Like, so, it's like if you got Aaron Gordon likes those sneak cuts back door, and so does Michael Porter Jr., and so does KCP, and so does Christian Brown and Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, especially. Like, they got a lot of guys that's going to be tough. So, and I'm not saying like who's going to win the series, but what I'm saying is like if there's Suns fans who saw this team like 2 years ago, and you think that just because you have Kevin Durant now, and even though they have Jamal Murray, like, oh, we're going to sweep him again. You're not going to sweep him again. It's not going to happen. This is at least going 6.
Facts.
I think it's going 7. But yeah.
That's a great segue, I guess, into what we can kind of do next here. And then we can just kind of talk about whatever. I was going to ask you, Top Notch, any thoughts on Suns Nuggets series or what were you going to say?
Well, so yeah, I'll talk about the series too. But my big question is too, right? I was noticing the beginning of the series, who's going to be the backup, right? So y'all run with Biyombo, and then you run with Lockdale or Lando, whatever. Yeah, right. So I see that you near the end of the series they started going with Biyombo, but for this series, right? Different matchups and stuff like that. Do you continue to still go with Biyombo, or do you go with the kind of the stretch 4, stretch 5, and lock Landale, or he could spread out the floor and run better, run more the offense than Biyombo, right? I think Biyombo's the better defender, but I also think Landale is the better offensive, player compared to Biyombo.
I don't
I'd
really
go
know if this answers.
Biyombo.
Yeah, like I don't really know if this answers your question because you kind of did sum it up. Like Landale is kind of the better offensive one because he can pick and pop a little bit, and he does hustle on plays. But Bismack Biyombo has been great, especially to end the season. There was a game against like Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis where he was just doing all he could. But I can tell Monty Williams kind of is trusting Busy more. I think you got to go Busy. And I don't know, maybe the Suns do a small ball lineup and we don't see either Busy or a Jock Landale. I don't know how that would work against, Jokic and all them, but Ayton has to stay out of foul trouble, man. Even Busy does, because I think Busy got in a little bit of foul trouble today. But I think it'll be Jock Landale through stretches. You know what I mean? But I will say this, and I was harping about this on Twitter today. The Suns have to address the rebounding this offseason. And I don't know how they do it. Or they just need to be a better rebounding team next season. I mean, easier said than done, but I think we are terrible at rebound. I don't know how good the Nuggets are at rebounding, but
how about Devin Booker for Andre Drummond?
Deal.
Going to the Nuggets and Sun series. Man, I think this is probably going to be a top series heading second round, man, because a lot of people don't give respect to the Denver Nuggets, because they're like the Denver Nuggets can go 82-0. Jokic can win MVP, but a lot of people still just won't respect that team. And I understand it. I'm one of those people that like go 82-0. I still don't respect you. Like I want to play, And I think it was an easy matchup against Minnesota without Naz Reid, without McDaniels. That was pretty easy for them. Even with them, I still think they win. I think it'll just be a little bit tougher. But with this series, if Jamal Murray, because I've been watching the series a little bit, if he continues to play like he's playing right now, it's going to be a tough out. Because also, what's his name, Mike Malone, he relies on the defense, and if you're not playing defense, you're not playing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Suns fans don't want to hear that. They're fearing playoff Jamal Murray.
Yeah, listen. He's doing his thing, man. I think this is a take. I fear Jamal Murray in the playoffs and Jokic. I really do.
I've said for a while, I think honestly, and I get it. Jamal Murray is not like the supreme level player. Like he's not like the GOAT or anything like that. But he honestly does remind me of like Chauncey Billups in a way, just because even Chauncey has accolades like that for his career. But every time come playoff time, it's like that he took it to a new level, right? So that's kind of and he was kind of underrated, I would say, for his career as well. So one of those guys, a sleeper player at the point guard spot, and definitely one of the more clutch players as well come playoff time. I mean, that's why they called him Mr. Big Shot. But so I feel like that's kind of the vibe I get out of Jamal Murray. They don't really play necessarily the same, but that's kind of what I see out of him. It's a player that doesn't get respect in the regular season. Maybe it's kind of coasting through the regular season, even though, like I said, Billups got more accolades and stuff. But Jamal Murray in the regular season, probably he could have even been averaging 25 a game if he really wanted. But he was averaging 20, 21 and kind of just getting through. And now you see in the playoff time, he takes his game from maybe a top 40 player in the league, 50 player in the league to a top 20, 25 player in the league at the very least, maybe better in some series.
Hey, this is off topic real quick because I think we just talked about the Clippers. I follow their writers and stuff. They bring in Ty Lue back, and they want Russ back, and it looks like they're going to be running it back. As I'm reading the post game, what they're saying. Obviously, it's not confirmed because Ty Lue.
Anything could happen too, but that probably sounds accurate.
Yeah, so Russ said but also the money part, the money thing did get brought up for Ty Lue, and he said, the performance gave Russ more opportunity to make more money. So that's going to be a big one. But you can go back.
I mean, that's kind of what, I feel like anyone would say that though too. Because even let's say the Lakers lose in the second round or something, they're gonna say, "Oh, we're gonna give money to Austin Reeves and to D'Lo and all these guys that are free agents, but they can't give huge contracts to all those guys for what they're playing, like Rui Hachimura and stuff like that. They're going to have to make a harsh decision, I feel like. So I feel like anybody would say yeah, we want these guys, of course. But, some of them, when they realize when the market hits, their value might be higher than what they thought. Or if you're, Dennis Schroeder a couple years ago, or if you're Victor Oladipo after that injury, which it sucks that he got injured again. But like after the one injury a couple years ago, but like he lost out on making a lot of money as well. So like we gotta see. But yeah, I feel like it'll definitely be more real because we hear too, like people are fine, like sometimes in certain places, and then all of a sudden things change. Lately we've seen the rumors with Damian Lillard are like almost seem like they're starting to swirl, and we
his
thought
comments recently.
We thought like this guy, he's like, I'm loyal to Portland forever and ever and ever. But now lately it seems like maybe there's an opportunity that he could find a way out. So you never know with the NBA now. It seems like it's so up and down. Like anything now, like it could be completely different in 3 months.
Well, if you would have told me at the start of 2023, if we were getting Kevin Durant, I would have told you no. And I was one of the first believers that we would have getting Kevin Durant. So
if you told me that the Chicago Bulls were they're going to be the only team to not make a trade this season, actually, I would have believed you.
I was so frustrated last time you were on my show, Super Mario, when we had that little Bulls kind of rant.
I know, for Dame and Bradley Beal, I'm tired of them. They make a bunch of like they want to win championships, and then they take a $200 million contract extension, and then be like, okay, now let's bring players over here after I just took half the salary cap, and then let's expect to win. I'm tired of them. I don't even feel
Dame
bad
has
for them.
playoff moments. So like Bradley, what does Bradley Beal even have? Like, let's be real.
Yeah, well, Russ brought him to the playoffs. Let's not forget, and John Wall did too. But okay,
Bradley Beal is such a choker.
I was listening to this one podcast, and this guy made a good point. He's like, Bradley Beal's like contract is so deep to where he can decline not just one trade, but like every trade if he wants to, and just say, I'm here for the next whatever 4 years, whatever it is. I don't know.
How is he still in his 20s too?
I will say this though about Washington. They fired their GM or whoever just recently. That was probably the smart move, and maybe they can restart fresh. And
but they're trying to pay Kuzma, and they're trying to pay Kuzma, and they got Porzingis. They're paying mediocre.
Exactly.
Must be nice to have a team that actually decides to fire their GM. I don't know what that's like, really.
Your GM comes out saying we're running it back and
stuck with bums.
I mean, hey man, I got to deal with Pat Riley, who doesn't make no moves lately. The dude, I don't know what he been doing, right?
It seems to be working though.
I mean, you could say that, right? But man, I can honestly see the Knicks making it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
I will say I kind of do wish the Heat would have made a move though at the deadline. I will say that though.
A Knicks Sixers Conference Finals is going to be disgusting.
Oh brother, dude, I just don't want.
And apologize to Romp, but that would just be disgusting.
I just don't need no Lakers winning because I have a lot of Lakers fans. I'm gonna block John if he starts calling me. I do not need no Lakers fans winning at all. Even though Russ does win a ring, but I don't think Russ will accept it, and I don't think the team will give it to him.
So you guys, just real quick, we're going to put a bow on this game, put a bow on this series. I want to give flowers and the credit where credit is due. The Clippers were great in this series. I know they lost, but they were great. They have depth. I don't know what's going to happen during the offseason, but we're all going to have our eyes on it. And I know that you're a big Russell Westbrook fan, and I'm serious. I'm not just saying this because you're on my show. I've been talking about it all series long. He was incredible. I had to block a comment in here earlier because someone said like Westbrook's a washed superstar. And I'm like, did you not watch this series? Like he was incredible this series. And again, besides today's game. So I just wanted to put a bow on this series. Props to the Clippers, man. And just real quick, I thought Josh Okogie had a really good game. I thought Busy was pretty damn good. And we just need more help from our bench. That's all I'm going to say. And then real quick, I'm sorry, just real quick. From a Suns point of view, and I know this doesn't really sum it up for the second round because there's obviously so much more we could talk about, but Mark Cooper's comment here is pretty damn accurate. And I've been talking about a lot of this throughout the series. He said the Suns need to rebound better, play better on transition besides overall team defense, and get bench production or they will lose this series. I know it's not that simple, but this comment is pretty accurate. So I just wanted to put a bow on this series. We can talk about whatever. We can talk about other series or other NBA news. So just real quick, Super Mario or Top Notch, any final thoughts just before we move on here?
You go ahead first.
Yeah, mine's just gonna be simple. I could be saying his name wrong, and if I do, I'm sorry. Ian, his name is Ian Wright, something like Ian the dude that's like he looks like a football player. He is a
Ish Wainwright.
Ish
Oh,
Wainwright.
yeah.
Him. I just want to ask a question with him. I know when the Suns played the Clippers, the end of the season, before we played them in the postseason, he played incredible defense on Kawhi Leonard. I remember that game because we needed to win that game to get into the postseason. Why I get it, but next series, do you think he's playable? Because I feel like he brings a lot of. I like him. Maybe it's just because I like the big boys who just like I don't know, like he hits the corner shot, plays some solid defense, but it's funny that they took him out the rotation. He didn't touch the court again, right? So you're more of a Suns fan. Suns fans know more about their their roster and stuff like that. But when I do see him play, the dude's hitting threes, the dude's playing some good defense. So I don't know what happened with that.
You're asking some excellent questions, Top Notch. I'm serious.
I'm just laughing because this man said "we" both times. Like he's Team Russ at this point. He is Team Westbrook at this point.
Yeah.
To answer the Ish Wainwright question, maybe we'll see him through stretches. Because do you remember one of Kevin Durant's first games against the Mavericks? He pretty much helped win us that game, especially from the corner threes. And he played really good defense on Kyrie Irving, believe it or not, in that game. But after that, we kind of saw a lot of inconsistencies. He hustles out there. He's kind of like a Josh Okogie, but bigger and stronger and everything. But like, he has been played out of the rotation. I don't know. Monty Williams is so weird with his we were talking about it with like Jock Lendell and just other guys. Like Cameron Payne's coming back from the injury too. Like, again, Monty's got to figure out who his 8 or 9 guys are going forward. Would I like to see an Ish Wainwright? Yeah, but like we talked about Terrence Ross earlier, TJ Warren, those guys need minutes. And Monty Williams has talked about it. Like there's a lot of guys who deserve the minutes. We're trying to figure out the rotations. I don't know. But
Ish Wainwright is literally David Roddy in a Suns uniform.
Yeah.
Like they're literally like the same.
Good comparison.
The only thing I was gonna add about the series, just because I wasn't on this, I wasn't on for Game 3, but with all due respect, I know the Suns fans are gonna flame me. Game 3 was rigged. Gotta admit. Yeah, I'm sure you. I'm sure you even saw Suns Geek. I was livid.
The foul trouble and everything.
I was heated just because it's not like just the Suns, because I know the Suns have been screwed all this year, and I even played the clip with Monty as well. But it just seemed so fixed.
Dude, like even I said, look, like the Suns have had a terrible year when it comes to whistle, but I said that's a lot of free throws, especially in one quarter, I believe.
Yeah, that Monty clip went viral though, because like for everyone like on Twitter and stuff, like because they're like, when is a team shot 46 free throws and then they shoot 46 free throws?
That's where I have to put my bias down and say that was pretty.
I mean, there was a play where Russell Westbrook was going on a fast break. Devin Booker clearly fouled him. It was a take foul, and then they didn't call nothing. I'm just like, yo, what is going on right now?
Real quick, guys, I just wanted to shout out the OGs of the Suns podcast. Shout out to my friends, the Suns Jam Session podcast. Got to get y'all back on the channel immediately. They are great. Go subscribe to them. But yeah, guys, we can pretty much talk about whatever at this point, because we pretty much put a bow on this series. We could talk about another series if you guys want, some other NBA news. And at the end of the show, I actually want to open up some stuff and thank a couple people who sent me some awesome stuff. So just real quick, though, comment from the Suns Jam Session podcast. Game 3 wasn't rigged. The Clippers overcommitted on defense to make up for their lack of size. And in the second half, their tired legs stopped getting turnovers and started getting called for fouls.
You know what this sounds like? It just sounds like another Suns. And no, don't take this as offense. It sounds like it's just a Suns supporter that got the right end of the stick this time, right? Because if that was and I know like y'all dealt with it during the regular season, every team deals with it, but this is like the most important games in the postseason, and it's like there's some takes I do believe you are right, because Clippers were fouling, but then there's a lot of stuff where Russell Westbrook, I think he had 30 plus points with 0 free throws. Like that's the first player in a while to have 36 points with 0 free throws. And we know how aggressive Russell Westbrook is. He's driving all the time. And how do you get 0 free throws? Come on, man.
My I love the Suns Jam podcast. I mean, you guys know that, but we gotta admit that game was a little fixed. I'm always pro Sun, dude. Like literally that game with the Suns and Lakers in the regular season, I was heated with that too. But come on, we everyone has those games. I think that was just one of them. Gotta especially take it from Suns Geek right here, who even said like that game. It's like it was getting ridiculous.
Yeah. But I will say my bias does have to talk a little bit. We don't get, I mean, pre-KD, even when we had KD, we do not get a whistle at all. And the refs, especially in that one Lakers game where Monty did go viral, it was the Austin Rivers show. He got any and all foul calls, and I'm kind of glad he did that. Just like I'm kind of glad that Fred VanVleet, had that epic rant and went off on the ref. I think that kind of opened it up for a lot of players and coaches. So I don't know.
Yeah, I want to talk about the today Trae Young and the Celtics.
Yeah,
man, did y'all watch that game?
I did.
I saw the highlights, but
You know something? I don't watch that series, but I always have the games on TV, and then I turn around and then I see there's like a couple seconds left, and Trae Young is over doing this, and I'm like, wow, they really just forced a 6. And so when you do look at the Eastern Conference, I honestly think it's wide open now, right? Do you think the Bucks come from 7? I know. Maybe shaking my head believes they come for 7, but I mean, I don't know.
Man loves calling me shaking my head.
Listen, man, Super Mario Hoops. Did they come back?
He's just mad. He's lost 2 debates to me on Clutch Talks channel. And
stop it. Listen, when it comes to debates, no one will ever admit they're wrong, bro. So I just let y'all talk.
I learned that from you. I don't even know. Oh, we were talking about Trae Young. Yeah, that was honestly insane, though. Like, dude. The Celtics are frauds.
Without DeJounte Murray, too.
Like this, let's be real. I've been saying this all year. I do not trust Joe Mazzulla because he's just one of those guys that he's really bad at making adjustments. I feel like he's gonna get to a point somewhere where it's like he's just gonna get screwed and like someone's just gonna have their number. Like they should still win this series, let's be real. But whether it's Philly or whether it's if the Bucks come back, or if it's the Heat or the Knicks, or if the Cavs come back, whoever it may be, if it's them or whoever it is in the West, I don't know if they're going to win the championship. And if they do lose, it's going to be like ugly. Like they're going to lose in like 5 or something like that. It's going to be like nasty work.
Shout out to CL Oracle. I want you to read that comment. I think we blow the doors off
in Denver. The Nuggets will be so used to playing a crap team in Minnesota that we'll give them a wake-up call. Suns in 4 or 5. We can do this.
Dude, people sleeping on Minnesota. Like Anthony Edwards isn't like the greatest player alive. Not named Devin Booker. Or I gotta give Jimmy Butler some credit, I guess. I was on his hate train. Dude, literally I was talking to Suns Geek. I'm like, this dude, Jimmy Butler, so overrated.
Dude,
in the
he
playoffs.
Went on the longest Jimmy Butler hate rant I've ever seen.
But it was fair. But now this series, it's making me look stupid. And it's a good thing I didn't make a video on it because I was gonna, and I'm like, dude.
I watched those highlights, man. Like, because NBA uploads them. That was one of the. It's like Devin Booker's performance tonight. That was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen.
It's gonna hit different when he blows a 3-1 lead. I'm just saying.
I just think we're in a year where just anybody can win the chip this year, and even though there are some great teams, obviously, just it's up in the air, man. I think it's all health at this point. Whoever stays healthy.
I got the Hawks over the Kings.
Yeah,
if that was the finals, I wouldn't even watch. I mean, come on, Hawks, Kings, like
hey, I mean, we could. De'Aaron Fox is going to be running our track meet up and down, up and down, up and down.
Kings would win that.
I mean, but that series alone, right there, Stephen, De'Aaron Fox. I think that's been the best series so far, man. That series been awesome.
I'm glad De'Aaron Fox is coming back too, which they did announce that.
Yeah, that's good because you don't want to have your best player out after you lose 2 games in a row. He said, no, we're not allowing that. And so. It sucks, and I don't like to say this, Garrett, because I don't like the Lakers. But doesn't it seem like the Lakers can win the West right now? Doesn't it seem like it?
Look, it seems kind of set up. But what I will say is, like I'm really looking at that Kings Warriors series now because if the Warriors advance, I don't think so. I think that's where the Lakers are finished. But if they play the Kings, and like I know the Kings might get like a little bit of rejuvenated too. If it's like we beat the defending champs and stuff, but I just feel like I know how that series is gonna go, like officiating wise, and they'd probably get the better end of the stick. The Lakers would, and then if they got to play either Denver or your Phoenix Suns, Suns Geek, like who have shown sometimes like maybe the rim protection isn't all there. Maybe they get away with that, and then you look at on the other side of things. Probably no Bucks unless they make a big comeback. The Celtics are looking like frauds, and Embiid is like they said he's like a 50% chance to start the series, right? So maybe. And honestly, like
it's up in the air, man.
I'm not about another Disney fairy tale story. Like let's get real here. Like come on.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think if the Bucks lose, I think Celtics win. I think if the Bucks lose, this changes a lot of things, right? Because I think a lot of people had the rematch, Bucks and Suns, right? I mean, I don't think Suns make it to the finals, even though I'm on the Suns podcast. I don't think it, but anything can happen, right? If Devin Booker keeps from doing 50 points like he's doing, no one can stop him, and it's just like, what can you do?
In all fairness, I guess since we're kind of talking about anything right now,
yeah.
I had Bucks Suns in the finals, but I've since changed my finals pick to Denver and Philly.
Denver and Philly.
Why are you picking Denver and Philly? Because that sort of segues into the Suns and everything.
I just feel like Denver's been so consistent all year, and going into game one, and just seeing them from games 1 to 3, the Nuggets, like they had several days off, and Mike Malone had them ready.
Yeah.
Right. See, the thing with the Suns is they didn't come out ready in any single game in this series. But Mike Malone, like he's like, we had a great week of practice. We came out like ready. We were all set up, right? I feel like they're gonna come out. I would not be surprised if they win the first 2 games. That doesn't mean the series is over, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win the first 2 games. And then I'd expect the Suns to definitely win game 3. But that game 4 is going to be critical then. And I just feel like the Nuggets, they've been more consistent all year. And then as for Philly, I know Embiid is like 50-50 right now, but I don't know. I feel like this is their time to break through.
We could predict a Denver and Phoenix. Suns Geek, what do you have? Phoenix and what?
Well, real quick, I was just going to share this. This is the Suns schedule for the Nuggets. I know your camera looks like it's glitching out there. I mean,
it was like turning on and off. I think it's good now.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to pick the Suns, but I think the series is going to go 7 games. So I think kind of like everything we've been talking about tonight, like the Suns have to stay out of foul trouble. They have to rebound better. They can't allow the Sun or the Nuggets to go in and drive in every single possession. They have to get consistent from 3. Their bench has to play big, but obviously I'm going to pick the Suns.
Yeah, of course
Suns and 7.
My man Gabe from 3 Point Weekly is in the chat, and he said I'm picking Denver for the 3 Point Weekly draft pick sweepstakes. Yeah, I told them if Denver wins, like I got to be in this like draft thing that they're doing. But yeah, that was kind of just a troll for him because he's like the biggest Nuggets hater that there is.
Maybe I should get him on the channel sometimes.
You should. And honestly, like you guys would probably get along. Like he picked the Suns to go all the way. That'd be insane.
You know what I think is going to be interesting? Watching DeAndre Jordan and Biyombo go back and forth in the second unit. I don't know why DeAndre Jordan is still in the NBA.
Dude, DeAndre Jordan is literally trash. And I called it literally from the start. Like, as soon as Chris Paul left, like, that guy's career was going to fall off. I don't know why people thought he was going to, like, become, like, an even better player. Like, that makes no sense. Like, everything he got was created from Chris Paul.
Yeah, Lob City.
I think injuries had, and obviously aging and everything, too. But
he's just mid.
I mean, yeah, I think he's bad, but I give him credit for having a roster spot because there's people out here that don't have a roster spot, like Cousins and Melo and stuff like that. Like,
I think part of
that, G League guys that deserve it too.
I think part of that though is like an ego thing and just like what you'd expect out of them. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know if you heard Cousins the other day, and he said he's still like a top 3 center in the league. Like,
dude, you got to be in the league to say that, bro.
That's delusion.
And he was good last year, backing up Jokic.
Denver.
But but he's come on, like you're not top 3. Maybe you could say like you're better than like a couple starting big. Like he's a better player than Dwight Powell.
I'm I'm ready to hear Zubats. I'm ready to hear it. I'm ready to hear it.
He's honestly, hey man, honestly, I might take him over Zubac.
No way.
I might, and on the offensive end for sure.
That's
if I'm
slow
if I'm building a team and he needs to be like one of those key scorers, then yeah. But if I just need like a center and like I already got a Kawhi and PG, then no. Like, so I guess for that situation, no. But like just straight up player for player, I feel like he's more talented, if that makes sense.
I have a Suns question. So with say if you don't win the championship this year, right?
Mhm.
I know your main players are obviously locked up. But where what is do you run it back obviously, or like what's going on with CP3? Because that he's gonna be out the league soon. I feel it, right? So what's kind of the next direction if y'all don't win? Because I think you trade for KD to win right now. James Jones is a very competitive GM. He wants to win, So like, what's kind of the next steps for you? Like, say if you do not win in this KD era,
Oh yeah, that's an excellent question. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I kind of talked to Coach Evan from He's on Fire about this, like, and he even told me like for this year, like it would be great if you guys won, but I think he's more so like, at least from what I heard, like he's more so like focused on next year as well, because it's gonna be a whole year that you guys have together. So like if they don't win this year, I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
I think they'll definitely bring back KD and Book and Ayton and stuff. Maybe Chris Paul's a little bit different because it's like not a fully guaranteed deal. And maybe if they want to upgrade, they could try that. But there's really no necessary need to. Like, I think like just identifying the bench players too. And that's maybe the other thing, like with the Denver series, that's hard. It's like the Suns might have more guys. Like TJ Warren could go off for a game, or Terrence Ross could go off for a game.
Yep.
But the thing is, for me, is that like, do they have the continuity with the system of Monty Williams
and Kevin Durant
as like the Christian Brown and like the Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, or like all the KCPs, all these other role players? Not all of them come off the bench, but like all these other role players in Denver and like what they have. And I feel like so far this season, no. And part of that is just because like a lot of those guys that you guys got midway through the year, like next year, it should be more defined. Like it'll be more established, like where they are in the rotation. Yeah. And I feel like this is just a hard year. And that's kind of why it's been hard for me to pick the Suns like this year as well, if that makes sense. But next year, if they have this team again next year, and some of these guys, like whether it's Terrence Ross or if Campaign is healthy and he like is the starting point guard again or whatever, even though I've always told you I think he's a combo guard, like, or like, and if Biyombo is playing well again, like, then this is probably the favorite next year, or at least like a top 3 team to win it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I coming out when KD got traded to the Suns, I always told my friends, I said I don't think they win this year, but next year I think that's the most pressure, right? I don't think there's there's going to be pressure on you, obviously, every postseason. But next year is like, okay, you have a full off season. Now you can work all the rotations. Monty, you have a whole season. There's no excuse of you throwing 11 people out there in a playoff game. There's just no excuse.
This year would be icing on the cake, really. If they could pull it off this year, that would be like an extra. Because
I just think we got to go to the finals, man. That's my whole thing. Just get to the freaking finals.
So my question, right? And I was saying this. If the Clippers, so I think we've seen it a few years ago where the Sun, I think it was maybe last year or something like that, when the Suns played Dallas, right? And maybe, I know y'all don't want to talk about this because it was a bad game 7 for y'all, right? But
and a bad game 6.
Yeah.
People lose game 6.
I think the reason why that played and I, as a Clipper, like a series, I'm glad like the Suns, you finally got like the series over with, because Denver got their series over with. And what we noticed is, right, when the Suns keep, the series keeps getting pushed, game 6, maybe the game 7, right? They get tired. And so later into the rounds, what happened? You go against a Dallas team where you win against the Pelicans, I believe that year, right? They forced that whole series.
They were great that series.
Yeah,
too.
That series. And then the series after that, it just was so hard because Pelicans pushed y'all. They pushed y'all to the limit. And so thank God the Suns, they got the Clippers out the way, because this Clippers team is, you don't want to keep seeing them keep around game 6, because then somehow you look at the injury report. Oh, somehow Paul George is now questionable. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, somehow Kawhi Leonard can play, So
I was just going to say, like, the other thing that's like with that as well is that, like, look at look at the Bucks Heat series, for instance. It's like, it's not just like the drain of like having to play more games, but like one thing that I always hear the NBA players talk about is it's not so much just playing another game, but it's like the flight, like place to place. And like, so the Bucks right now, like they're going home for game 5, but it's like, we still got to come home. Then we got to go to Miami. Then we got to come back home. And if we don't do all that and execute every time, then our season is over. Like that's what I think some of these teams, like, it might be hard for them to like, oh, like we didn't take care of business. Now we got to go on a flight over here. Then we got to go on a flight over here or something like that. Like, see, the good thing about the first 4 games in the series is that like you're not flying, but like maybe 5 days or so in between. Like you have like 5 days of chilling. It's almost like a mini vacation. But when it gets later in the series, like you're flying every other day, like back and forth, back and forth.
And also, I mean, just real quick, Phoenix is so close to LA, just for an example. I mean, Steph Curry, didn't he make a comment about his series? Like they're taking the bus. He feels like,
yeah, with Sacramento. They're like 2 hours away or 1 hour away or whatever.
That's all I was going to say is the travel is really important. I think sometimes we as basketball fans overlook that. And it is real. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I was gonna literally bring that up too. And also, maybe this is a little like, not more basketball, but also too, like, basketball players are just like us. They just have a little bit more money than us, right? But also, like, these players be going through some stuff off the court. And that could play a huge factor. Like, example, Kawhi Leonard's sister. I don't know if y'all just heard that whole situation. Like, she did some crazy stuff, and now she's up, like she's in jail now. But like, people's mental, like Devin, like, so if I know we get mad our players don't play well and then they don't perform, but we also don't know what's going on in their household, like what's going on. So you also got to look at that too. And I try to, but then sometimes you just get so, you love the game so much and you want to win, you don't even think of that other stuff. But there's a lot of little stuff that matter, like the traveling, other stuff, right?
So you guys, I don't know if you saw in the private chat, we're probably just going to go like 10 more minutes. I hate to cut this short because this has been a great show. So whatever you guys want to talk about for the final 10 minutes, this is your time. You guys got questions for each other. You got questions for me. If you see a good comment or a question in the chat, go for it. But yeah, this has been a really good show, and I do appreciate you guys both being here. So again, just anything y'all want to talk about, and then we'll wrap things up.
I think it's funny that the Hawks ruined Adam Silver's script because literally, like, they had the Janet Jackson concert planned on that day, and then like they had to reschedule it. He probably was like, no, and like whatever.
I actually have a question for you guys, just real quick, and this is obviously not Suns related. So please, if you're a Suns fan, please keep watching. Let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves for a minute. What do you guys think happens with them? Because
Cat gets traded. Simple.
That's kind of where I was going to go, because I'm like, I love Karl Anthony Towns and everything. He was obviously injured for 51 games or whatever it was. But like, with everything that went on with that scuffle and all that, and you're not going to trade Rudy Gobert because you already gave up way too much to get him. And Anthony Edwards is obviously the star. He's their main focus. Maybe you keep a Mike Conley. I like Kyle Anderson there. Like, seriously, what do the Timberwolves do, man?
Well, Cat, let's be honest. Cat, he played horrible in this series. I mean, like, he finally played decent this game. But, I mean, like, when you look at not say horrible, that's crazy. But, like, you can't come out here and go in 34 minutes and score 10 points and
Could have
11
played
points.
better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just can't do that. 3 for 12, 5 for 15. And then even the another game where he had 17 points. Like, I know you're not the number one guy no more, but you need to perform against the number one seed. This isn't like a 4, 5, 6, 7. No, this is the number one seed. We need you to show out. So, man, it's going to be interesting if Cat does get traded. Where does he go?
Exactly.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, the thing for me is that like I even, like, when I saw a tweet or something like about Cat like still making rookie mistakes and he's 8 years in or something like that, like he was the first overall pick. We saw it for a reason, like when he came out, but like it doesn't seem it seems like he's been the same player since his second year in the league, and like every year in the playoffs he's made it. He's never really showed out. He's always played less than he did in the regular season. And like your point, that's like I was talking with like NBA Addict TV about this, and I was talking with Jelson, who is a Timberwolves fan, about this. Like, you got to trade Cat right now, simply because this is like anyone that knows ball knows that this is Anthony Edwards' team. right? And then as for that, like with Gobert and Cat, yeah, Gobert's worse, but Cat you can get more value for, and you just traded everything for Gobert. At least like give it one more year with Gobert, let him get his value higher. Maybe you trade Cat for like an OG and an OB, or maybe I mean like he won't be available because of how well he's playing for the Nets, but like a Mikal Bridges level player, just because like they're around the same age and like someone at that position or something. Like you give Ant another like perimeter defender or something, another scorer or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that would really flesh them out. And then again, like have Gobert boost his value next year. And then if it doesn't work and you want to trade him, that's fine. You're not gonna get what you traded him for, but at least you're gonna get like something kind of like if you trade Gobert right now, you might get like 2 or 3 assets.
Yeah.
But if you trade him next year and he has a better year, maybe you get like 5 or something, like if he's playing like close to how he did last season.
I do agree with you on I think you got to at least run it back one more year. I mean, you just have to, in my personal opinion. But I think Naz Reid's unrestricted free agent, I believe, and he's going to command a payday. And I don't know what Jaden McDaniels. I mean, he's an excellent defender. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I just wanted to get your guys' opinions.
Yeah, my last take, and then I just want to say, I appreciate you inviting me to the show.
Yeah,
shout out to all the Suns fans. I see some love comments. I see some hate
you got
comments.
some love there.
Yeah, what's it called? Lastly, for the Suns, good luck to the Denver Nuggets. I'm definitely gonna be watching that series, and I may be doing some trolling on my TikTok. So don't get too mad. I actually made a video on TikTok today about DeAndre Ayton, and it already got like 20,000 views because I was like pretty much making fun of him because he was doing some weird stuff on the court, whatever. But once again, just thanks. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they did the dumbest thing in the world. They were a good team. They were fighting with the Memphis Grizzlies, and then they said, you know what, let's make a big move and then ruin their whole roster. Just I don't get that.
Yeah. Just real quick, you guys, I won't spend too much time on this, and I'm going to put myself on the full screen. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple people. I actually won a giveaway, and I posted this on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, by the way. Shout out to Carlos Jimenez. I hope I'm saying his name right. He is a local artist, and he does some incredible work. So I just wanted to show off these wonderful pictures that he drew and sent me, and he signed them himself. So just wanted to share that. I shared it on my Instagram and everything. Here's another one that I got. This was all from just one giveaway, by the way. So I just wanted to share that. Shout out to him. I tweeted it. I posted it on Instagram and everything. Check out his website. Follow him on Twitter, Carlos Jimenez, if I'm pronouncing that right. And then real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to Metal Mike. I don't know if he's still watching. He was kind enough to send me this Mikal Bridges bobblehead. And first off, the box is beautiful right here. And I guess this bobblehead represented like a charity that he did when he was in Phoenix, and I figured we might as well just open it up real quick before we get out of here, and we'll get everybody's final thoughts and all that stuff. But we're just going to go ahead and open this up, kind of react to it in live time. Once again, thank you to Metal Mike for sending this over, just being generous enough to send it over. So here is the bobblehead, y'all. I love it. Beautiful. Got the fries, Kroger fries right there. That's awesome. That's a great bobblehead. I just wanted to show you guys. Shout out to Metal Mike again for sending this over.
Shout out to Mikal Bridges, man.
Yeah, shout out to Mikal Bridges, man.
Weddle Wyke
will always be a Phoenix Sun for life, by the way, but I'm glad that he's thriving and playing great in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn fans, you should be thrilled with Mikal Bridges because he's been excellent. I can't see Mikal Bridges going anywhere for a long time, man. So I just want to give a couple.
Posted Embiid.
Yeah, exactly. And then he dunked on him so hard, and Embiid didn't even know that he got dunked on. But
and Embiid got hurt.
Again, big shout out to Carlos Jimenez. I hope I said his last name right. Shout out to Metal Mike. He's been a supporter on this channel. After game one, Metal Mike hopped on here real quick and was so positive and optimistic. So again, thank you for the fact that he sent me this bobblehead. So guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. I hate to cut this show short, although we've almost, it's been over an hour and a half.
This is just light work for when I'm here.
We usually go like 2 hours or more, but guys, just any final thoughts on anything? I don't know. You guys want to promote your channels and where you guys are all at and everything? Super Mario, you want to start first?
Yes, sir. You can find me at Supermariohoops24. It's not shaking my head. That's not what the acronym stands for. But find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on the YouTube.
Links in the description.
Yes, sir. Eventually I'll be having a collab, and both these guys are a part of it. So you'll definitely want to subscribe. So, yeah.
Awesome.
My name is Top Notch, as you see. I'm just on TikTok. Close to 100K over there. So you want to check me out. Top Notch Hot Takes. I have several other YouTube channels too. It's in my link tree. But for the haters, the lovers, I appreciate y'all no matter what. Suns, we'll see what y'all can do in the second round, baby.
Well, thank you guys both for being here. I do appreciate you. We'll have to get both of you guys back on the channel and everything. And again, thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for everybody that was watching today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody that stuck around afterwards. You guys' support means the world to me. Like I say, every show, you guys, the best way to support this channel is just to keep watching. And we will see you guys soon. Obviously, we have about a week off-ish before Saturday, which is game 1 against the Nuggets. Can't wait for that. Stay tuned for more content, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys soon. As always, win or lose, go Suns. Peace out. See you guys next time.
What's up, Suns Geek?